week come and gone. It's been kind of a chilly week where I am, man. Freezing day. Had to work outside, but grinded through it, and here I am. Gonna do another live meditation with you, like I normally do. And I've been going on and on about benefits, thinking, maybe I'll do a YouTube video or something. But I thought, I'm just gonna do some research this week. I'll go through some information that I can find. I spent like an hour, hour and a half just going through some stuff and writing down as much information as I could on the benefits of mindfulness meditation. So I got them on a list here on my computer. I'm going to go through the list step by step. And I'll tell you, man, when I was doing this research, I was like, I could just keep going and going and going. Um, but I got this list here. I'll go through it. And then at the end of it, if you think that there's nothing here for you, you can move on. But anyway, so here's the beginning steps of the benefits of meditation. One, it gives you the ability to be present within the moment without judgment. This gives you the ability to block negative thoughts, which as I go down the list, you'll be able to see how that comes into play, the blocking of thoughts. So it reduces anxiety, stress, and depression. Also, one more thing before I just keep going through this list that I want to lay out there is that I'm not saying that these do all these things. These are the claims from the psychologists, the doctors, the gurus, spiritual leaders, whatever you want to call them. This is what they are telling you. Now, I have noticed some of the benefits on this list, and I'm interested to see if I can get more out of it. So I'll continue. I just want to make a note of that. That I'm not saying that this is true. This is absolutely these are the claims. You are going to have to do the investigation for yourself to find out whether or not it's true. So the next one, it may improve chronic pain, chronic headaches, insomnia, fatigue, and your engagement in social activities. It can increase your body awareness. It can give you more relaxation, longer lasting relaxation. It can decrease psychological distress through disidentification with your thoughts, which goes back up to that first thing we were talking about with the judgment thing. Also, it can decrease psychological distress by the uncoupling of your sensory and cognitive pain. So your physical pain and the pain that's going on up here can break those two apart. It can build awareness and consciousness through strengthened focus. It can reduce overall suffering, lower blood pressure, boost your immune system. It can mitigate ADD, ADHD, and age-related cognitive decline. It helps with things like psoriasis and irritable bowel syndrome. It might be able to give you the ability to let go of unhelpful thinking. It creates distance between your automatic thinking. So the thoughts that are going through your brain like a train, and that you notice when you sit down, if you've ever sat down to do meditation and you're just trying to like focus on your breathing or your body, just like the feeling under your butt or your feet or your legs, your arms. If you're just trying to focus in on something and you got these thoughts coming, it can create some distance between that thinking and give you focus. It can slow your overactive mind. I have a very overactive mind, so this is helpful for me in that. Now this is cool. Strengthens your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for your self-discipline. Now, where could we all use some of that? I'm telling you, when it comes to your good, think about all the good habits, the things that you'd like to be doing, whether you're doing like working on projects or, anything, working with relationships, anything, and think about all the bad habits. I know for me, things like, drinking or smoking, any type of drugs, if you're a shopaholic, you know, any of the bad habits that you can get involved with, this might be able to help you with that. This can enhance your creativity, your productivity, and sharpen your thinking. It can enhance your disciplinary power, which just goes back up to the self discipline thing that I was talking to about you before. It can improve your performance at work with physical activity and relationships. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing that mindfulness as a foundation is spilling over into like the entire fabric of your life. So once you sit down and you do it for a while and you build a habit, you're going to start noticing subtle changes in your life all over the place. And on a side note, here's like kind of like a higher thing. If you're interested in this type of thing, which I find extremely fascinating, is that mindfulness meditation can break into something called enlightenment, which is essentially the letting go of yourself. It is a complete ego death and an experience of unity or oneness with the universe. And apparently this, for some people it can happen fast, and for others apparently it can take like 40 years to get there. This is why you see, out in the east, some of these guys will sit in a cave for 40 years meditating. It's this they're looking for. They're looking for enlightenment. They see it as more important than anything. And it may very well be. I don't know. I have not experienced it, but I am, I would like to slowly see myself working towards that. That's what I do see myself, maybe one day, I don't know. I'm just, taking it one day at a time with the mindfulness meditation. But again, that's another subject for another day. Going back to this regular list that we were just looking at, you can see that this has tons of claims in benefits. So the only way for you to find out whether or not these claims are true or accurate is you are going to have to do the test. You are going to have to sit down. You're going to spend the time doing this. Now, for me right now, I do 20 minutes at least every day, and a few times during the week, maybe, I'd say a couple times, at least I'm trying to get there, I'll do an hour meditation, which I call my big sit, I guess, for the week. It is hard. I have a family. I have kids. It is hard to get away from that. And I love my family and I want to spend time with them too. But I also know in order for me to love them the way that they need to be loved, I have to take care of myself at the same time. So it's kind of like a catch-22. It's tough. So, and that's what this channel is for, to, help motivate myself. I guess I'm being selfish here. I'm doing this in a way just for me to grow myself. But maybe there's others out there too that are looking for the same thing too. They're looking for ways to improve, and here's a great start. So like I normally do, I'm going to hit the mat. We're going to do 20 minutes. All the sessions are usually 20 minutes. I set my timer on my phone. I turn my mic off, and I let my desktop play some meditation music in the background for 20 minutes. And then I'll come back and we'll have a few more words. So I'm going to get to it. We'll get started. Let me just fire up the music. All right, I'm back. How was it? Was it a good sit? Yeah, yes. Sometimes you're gonna have good ones and bad ones. You're gonna have sits where you're all up in your head and you just can't settle down. Just know that any sit is a good sit. Even those days where you just can't focus and you're trailing off and you're all over the place. It's the consistency. It's the building of the habit. Just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and you'll start to notice some of those benefits we were talking about at the beginning. So, like I do with all these episodes, is that I like to leave some type of spiritual wisdom, whether it's some type of ancient scripture or something, or parable or proverb or psalm or whatever. So today I found it's a little lengthy. It's only 2 pages. It's not that big. It's a Hindu proverb or story that I found online a while ago, and I thought it was kind of neat and has kind of a good point to it. With all this stuff, whenever it comes to these spiritual readings and stuff, I think a good way to approach them is to try and take all the stuff that you've been taught. Try to empty your brain. Try to see it for the first time every time you hear them. So if you've heard this one before, try and hear it for the first time. And you might glean some type of wisdom that you might not have gotten before. But anyway, so this is a Hindu one. It's called the Blind Men and the Elephant. So I will read this off. So anyway, it says, long ago, 6 old men lived in a village in India. Each was born blind. The other villagers loved the old men and kept them away from harm. Since the blind men could not see the world for themselves, they had to imagine many of its wonders. They listened carefully to the stories told by travelers to learn what they could about life outside the village. The men were curious about many of the stories they heard, but they were most curious about elephants. They were told that elephants could trample forests, carry huge burdens, and frighten young and old with their loud trumpet calls. But they also knew that the Raja's daughter rode an elephant when she traveled in her father's kingdom. Would the Raja let his daughter get near such a dangerous creature? The old men argued day and night about the elephants. An elephant must be a powerful giant, claimed the first blind man. He had heard stories about elephants being used to clear forests and build roads. No, you must be wrong, argued the second blind man. An elephant must be graceful and gentle if a princess is to ride on its back. You're wrong. I have heard that an elephant can pierce a man's heart with its terrible horns, said the third blind man. Please, said the fourth blind man, you are all mistaken. An elephant is nothing more than a large sort of cow. You know how people exaggerate. I am sure that an elephant is something magical, said the fifth blind man. That would explain why the Raja's daughter can travel safely through the kingdom. I don't believe elephants exist at all, declares the sixth blind man. I think we are victims of a cruel joke. Finally, the villagers grew tired of all the arguments, and they arranged for the curious men to visit the palace of the Raja to learn the truth about elephants. A young boy from their village was selected to guide the blind men on their journey. The smallest man put his hand on the boy's shoulder. The second blind man put his hand on his friend's shoulder, and so on until all 6 men were ready to walk safely behind the boy, who would lead them to the Raja's magnificent palace. When the blind men reached the palace, they were greeted by an old friend from their village who worked as a gardener on the palace grounds. Their friend led them to the courtyard. There stood an elephant. The blind men stepped forward to touch the creature that was the subject of so many arguments. The first blind man reached out and touched the side of the huge elephant. An elephant is smooth and solid like a wall, he declared. It must be very powerful. The second blind man put his hand on the elephant's limber trunk. An elephant is like a giant snake, he announced. The third blind man felt the elephant's pointed tusk. I was right, he decided. The creature is as sharp as a deadly as a spear. The fourth blind man touched one of the elephant's four legs. What we have here, he said, is an extremely large cow. The fifth blind man felt the elephant's giant ear. I believe an elephant is like a huge fan, or maybe a big carpet that can fly over mountains and treetops, he said. The sixth blind man gave a tug on the elephant's coarse tail. Why, this is nothing more than a piece of old rope. Dangerous indeed, he scoffed. The gardener led his friends to the shade of a tree. Sit here and rest for the long journey home, he said. I will bring you some water to drink. While they waited, the six blind men talked about the elephant. An elephant is like a wall, said the first blind man. Surely we can finally agree on that. A wall? An elephant is a giant snake, answered the second blind man. It's a spear, I tell you, insisted the third blind man. I'm certain it's a giant cow, said the fourth blind man. Magic carpet, there's no doubt, said the fifth blind man. Don't you see, pleaded the sixth blind man, someone used a rope to trick us. Their argument continued, and their shouts grew louder and louder. Wall, snake, spear, cow, carpet, rope. Stop shouting, called a very angry voice. It was the Raja, awakened from his nap by the noisy argument. How can each of you be so certain you are right? Asked the ruler. The six blind men considered the question, and then, knowing the Raja to be a very wise man, they decided to say nothing at all. The elephant is a very large animal, said the Raja kindly. Each man touched only one part. Perhaps if you put the parts together, you will see the truth. Now let me finish my nap in peace. When their friend returned to the garden with the cool water, the six men rested quietly in the shade, thinking about the Raja's advice. He is right, said the first blind man. To learn the truth, we must put all the parts together. Let's discuss this on the journey home. The first blind man put his hand on the shoulder of the young boy who would guide them home. The second blind man put his hand on his friend's shoulder, and so on until all six men were ready to travel together. So, that was a little lengthy, but good story, something to think about. So, as your week goes on, I encourage you. I know there's a lot of new people here who watch this. Well, not a lot, but we got some people that come in and check this out, and hopefully the channel will grow. But as you're doing your meditations, the key is just to keep doing it. I put this challenge out to all new people who decide to get into meditation. Do 30 days and commit hard. Give it all you got. Whatever you put into this, you will get out of it. And sometimes the benefits are down the road, so you need to be patient. Just give it time and build the habit. Do it for at least 30 days before you make a decision on whether you're going to stop doing it or keep going with it. So I think that's all for tonight. It was a good session here, and I do this every Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to come join on Thursday night. Sit for the whole thing and join me in the meditation, and it'd be cool to see how many people we could get doing a live meditation together. So anyway, have a great week, and I will see you next Thursday. All right, good night.